Hey everybody, it's Johntheother here. Now, I actually today regret the loss of the YouTube video response feature because this is the video that I would have liked to have been able to post as a video response to Thunderf00t. Not to tell him what a fine, handsome and upstanding fellow he is, but to tell him that in his video addressing of the statements of Rebecca Watson, Elevator Girl, where he said, a feminist said, "What?" that Thunderf00t was wrong, and Rebecca Watson, Elevator Girl, was right. For those who haven't seen it, I'll put a link to Thunderf00t's video in the low bar. What he is doing in his video is pointing to some of the idiotic nonsense that feminists like to say, and comparing it to a statement by Rebecca Watson and saying, this one takes the cake. This is the most idiotic thing that anybody's ever said.
You, liberal, intellectual guy who has a healthy interest in science and skepticism, but who finds feminism distasteful and would rather not hear about it, you are worse than rape threats.
Now, Thunderf00t says that this is the most idiotic thing that anybody has ever said. But he's wrong. Now, he's not wrong in his reading of what she's saying. That is to say, someone who disagrees with your point of view, that from the point of view of feminists, liberal, intellectual, science-oriented, skeptic guys, which is what Rebecca Watson addresses her audience as, but who disagree and don't want to hear about feminism, are certainly not worse than people issuing threats to commit a violent crime, particularly rape. At least not for a normal person. But for a feminist, for a Rebecca Watson, or someone of her type, who shares her worldview, yes, skeptical, intellectual, liberal-minded, rational, and engaged young men in the world who don't want to hear about feminism are, in fact, worse than rape threats. Now, it seems like I'm just buying into Rebecca Watson's nonsense, doesn't it? I'm not. What I'm doing is I'm understanding her point of view. Rape threats, particularly on YouTube, are her bread and butter. They're like money to her. Rape threats validate the feminist narrative. If I get on YouTube and I tell Rebecca Watson or any other feminist that I hope they fall into a bucket of rape, I'm quoting actually from another YouTube atheist who said something along those lines. What I'm doing is I'm empowering those feminists by saying that. I'm validating their threat narrative, the one where they live in a world of continuous threats, that being a woman is the same thing as being a victim, and that the world hates women, and by golly, we've all got to do something about it. If we're not, we need to find a knotted rope and beat ourselves with it. How about a USB cable? You know? But when atheist, rational, skeptical, liberal-minded, humanist men say, I just don't want to hear about your feminism anymore. Kindly just go away, get off my screen. I just don't want to hear it. That is horribly disempowering to a Rebecca Watson type feminist, because what they're really saying is that these skeptical, liberal-minded, rational guys who she's addressing, when they say I don't want to hear about feminism, is they're saying, I recognize your ideology as an ideology. It's one built on hatred, on violence, on fraud and lies, and which thrives on perpetual generation of grievance and pain. I reject it. It is a construct of malice, of malintention. And if you're a proponent of it, then you too are a proponent of malice and malintention. So please, STFU and get off my screen. That is the ultimate poison for feminism, to be told, we've had enough of your nonsense, kindly zip it and get lost. That's thousands of times worse than someone who says, you deserve to be raped, or perhaps, I'm gonna rape you. Because the rape threat validates feminism, validates the need for continuous erosion of other people's rights, validates the need for censorship and thought control and zero-tolerance policies, with nasty little empire-building feminists at the heart of such policies. And that's why I say that Elevator Girl is, in this case, right, and Thunderf00t is wrong. Thanks very much for watching, and have a great day. So So last week I asked people what they thought the perception of the men's rights movement was from people outside the movement, and quite a few people replied in the comments thread, and here are some of the responses. Super HB Man says, I've heard 3 views on the men's rights movement and on MRAs from non-MRAs and feminists, and they both function on 2 basic premises. Number 1, men's issues don't exist, that men have no problems, and that we/they enjoy all the good things in life, i.e. male privilege. Number 2, the men's rights movement was formed in reaction to feminism. The 3 views are the men's rights movement is not a legitimate movement and that MRAs feel threatened that their male privilege is being taken away. Number 2, when a person, MRA/MGTOW, points out that a particular feminist has a victim complex, they turn around and accuse them of projection, and that given premise 1 and 2, MRAs are the one with the victim complex. Number 3, given views 1 and 2, it would follow that MRAs are all misogynists and they all want to continue their oppression of women by taking advantage of people's support and the supposed non-existence of men's issues, given in premise 1. Miles Bennett Dyson says, non-MRAs think the goal of the men's rights movement is to restore the patriarchy, full stop. They believe that men's rights come at the expense of everybody else's rights and that men are butthurt at having lost their rights, read rights to enslave and subjugate, during the various liberation movements of the 20th century. They view us as troglodytes and our ideas as stuck in a glorious past where we could own women and minorities. Seriously. SK Knight 8046 says, I'm guessing non-MRAs think that the goal of the men's rights movement is to lock women in kitchens and legalize rape, all of that fun stuff. I'm also guessing that they think we sit around a stone table in black shrouds performing ritual sacrifices of women, and then afterwards talk about how best to oppress all the women around us, and then whine about trivial things like misandry and the fact that a nutcase in Canada wants to legalize the murder of men. I mean, it's just so trivial, right? Oh my god, our secret is out! And of course, this week, the question for anybody who cares to answer is, if you're a men's rights activist, or if you prefer men's human rights activist, how do you identify yourself as an MRA to other potential MRAs when you're out in public? Answers below as always, and thanks very much for watching, and have a great night.